Welcome to our 5 on 5. Pleased to welcome back Congressman Cliff Bentz. Our fourth 5 on 5 with you this year alone. Thank you very much for all your time. There's busy times in Washington right now.
Yes, I'm happy to be here. Thanks.
So, getting right to it, millions of dollars comes to Oregon schools through the Secure Rural Schools legislation. And could you share why House Republicans didn't renew it after it passed the Senate? I know you've been pushing for this.
Right, we've been pushing for it, but you have to have a pay for. You have to find someplace that you're going to get that money, and it's serious money. And so I'm very happy to say that it looks like it's going to be included in the reconciliation bill. And so I have high hopes, and there will be an offset being developed in the Senate this time, because the Senate sent it over the last time without an offset. So no pay for it. They just sent it over and said, good luck finding the money. This time around, Senator Crapo seems to have it in hand.
Okay, yeah. And you were confronted recently by some angry constituents at town halls in Eastern Oregon, and you're far from the only Republican in Congress to get that reception of late. Are you going to follow the advice of the House Speaker and the head of the NRCC and stop doing in-person town halls?
Well, their position, the two gentlemen you just mentioned, are of interest to me, but that's not why I'm choosing not to do a town hall this week, an in-person one. I'll probably do one by telephone. My reason for not doing an in-person one this week is I learned in those first 4 town halls I did that the folks that showed up were using my town halls as a platform to scare Social Security recipients, Medicare recipients, and Medicaid recipients. And I want no part of that kind of scare tactic that the Democrats are using. It was very sad because we don't need to be scaring those people. Those programs are going to be protected, and we don't want folks like that, opportunistic politicians, scaring people. That's bad. So I'm not going to lend myself to let folks do that. We'll figure out some way of having in-person town halls, but if they're going to use them to scare people, I want no part of it.
I'm glad you threw that in there about what Republicans are planning with those, because I was going to go there.
Yeah.
Yesterday, President Trump began dismantling the Department of Education, something he ran on. You told us last month that, quote, some of its functions need to be preserved. What are those functions, and were they?
Well, I think the essential functions of the Department of Education, which is allocating money to the states for Title I programs, which are essential for many, many, many reasons, will be preserved. One of my best friends is the chair of the House Committee on Education and Labor, Congressman Tim Walberg, and he's going to make sure that those essential elements, functions of the department are preserved. They need to be preserved, and they will be preserved.
Okay, we're going to take a quick commercial break. Much more with the Congressman in a moment. Stay with us. Welcome back to our 5 on 5. Again, we're here with Oregon Congressman Cliff Bentz. Congressman, the Oregon Senators, Ron Wyden and Jeff Merkley, are urging the Trump administration to exempt seasonal firefighters from a federal hiring freeze. Do you think federal firefighters should remain unscathed from budget cuts?
Yes, I do, actually. And I'm happy for the 2 senators urging the administration along those lines, but I think they were already going to be preserved. So, hooray for them for jumping in on something that's positive as opposed to negatively remarking on these scare tactics I was mentioning earlier.
Certainly, for bipartisan work in Oregon, we like to see it. So I have to ask.
Okay. We absolutely like to see it.
Thousands of your constituents could risk going hungry if Republicans cut food assistance through SNAP. Do you support cuts to that program?
No. And what I do support, though, is making sure people who shouldn't be on the program are not on the program. And I want to make some attempt to make sure that people who should be working to be eligible should be working. And I want to make sure that we're not paying people or giving people twice the amount of benefit that they're allowed under the law. So there's many things that we need to do to make sure that program is working well, so the people who truly need it are benefiting from it.
President Trump said the judge who ruled against some recent deportations, Venezuela to be specific, should be impeached, leading some of your GOP colleagues in the House to actually introduce legislation to do just that. Supreme Court Justice John Roberts has rebuked the president. You're a lawyer. Do you think this is appropriate for politicians to do?
I think rebuke is a little strong for what Chief Justice Roberts did, but there is a way that you challenge a judge when the judge is wrong, and I think the judge was wrong, by the way. So I don't blame the president for calling out impeachment. I don't think that's the proper remedy, but the person who will make that decision, I think, is going to be Jim Jordan on the Judiciary Committee, because I anticipate if that matter makes its way to the floor, it will be promptly referred to the Judiciary Committee, on which I used to sit. Jim's a good friend, and I think he'll give it some considerable thought, and there are other ways to approach it, which I'm familiar with. And so I doubt that it's going to be impeachment. But I don't blame the president for being angry and upset that he couldn't get the type of criminals he was trying to get out of the country out of the country.
I believe you still own a 100-acre alfalfa farm, is that correct?
120.
120, of course. Forgive me. Several foreign countries have increased tariffs on U.S. exports as a result of the Trump administration's own tariffs. Have you been impacted by these retaliatory tariffs? Just curious.
No, but,
Okay.
but we don't know yet who's going to be impacted, and I've certainly been reaching out to my constituents to find out.
Yeah, you have a lot of farmers in your district.
A lot, and I've been meeting with them, and we're trying to sort through the good and the bad of the tariffs. The tariffs are a foundation for negotiating a better trade relationship, and having read The Art of the Deal by President Trump, yes, I have. Okay. But I would just suggest that this is a standard approach to get the upper hand in negotiating. So I don't blame the president for doing what he's doing, and we have to wait and see how these turn out.
We will be watching. Thank you so much, sir. Good to see you.
Yeah.
Stay with us. We'll be right back.